Last week, we learned about Grandpa and David. Today, we're introduced to presumably the rest of the townfolk that we'll be able to talk to on at least Riverbend Springs. It's still unclear if we're going to see these same townfolk on the other two base maps, or maybe they're exclusive to the US map. Sound off in the comments below if you think you want them to be exclusive to Riverbend Springs. I also think that I'm going to hold off on any judgments until I get a chance to see more of how they're implemented once the game releases. Now let's take a moment and explore the idea that maybe they are exclusive to Riverbend Springs. A possible experiment to see how the community takes to them and possibly implement them in the Year 1 Season Pass expansion map. Either way, it's something that mappers are likely to be experimenting with these guys in their own mod maps. The principle is that the NPCs are hopefully going to bring more life to the towns. Voiced by honest-to-goodness voice actors, each NPC is reported to have their own personalities and area of expertise. NPCs will not only offer advice on how to do things, but they can also offer up contracts from time to time, so it's a good thing to go back and check on them over the years. The first townfolk in the blog post is the first one we were also introduced last week, Grandpa Walter. As was mentioned in the FS25 in 25-second video, Walter is an old-school farmer who did not have a son to pass down the farm to because his son ventured off for other endeavors. Instead, either because of a lack of good judgment or just an unending belief in the goodness of humanity, he's decided to give his farm to you. Last week's blog post about construction projects also hinted that Grandpa would be involved with the toy productions and possibly even the rope park. In these screen grabs, we have a bit of a sense on how the NPCs will support languages other than English. I would speculate that some number of voice actors were used, or maybe a voice actor was hired that could speak both English and German, for example, and other languages would be provided via closed captioning. At this point, it's all speculation on if there will be voices in any other language other than English. Now, I have posed that question to Giants, and should I get an answer back, I will be sure to put that information in a pinned comment down below. The second townsfolk today is Helper Ben. Ben has been Walter's right-hand man for over 30 years. Ben will be great for new farmers, giving advice on how to get started with the basics. Maybe he's the in-game tutorial from game versions past. Ben will hang out at the starting farm, seemingly if you want him to or not. We can then see in the screenshot the overall interface on how we will ask questions of Ben and other NPCs. What's the difference between plows and cultivators? What types of plows are there? What types of cultivators are there? How and when do I plow? How and when do I cultivate? And then we have a back and an exit option. It will be interesting to explore how deep Ben's knowledge goes. Creepy David seems to just be badly mistaken. As a recent export from the big city, David seems to be learning more about farming from trial and error than by making financially healthy decisions. David can give advice on how not to do things, while at the same time, you might be able to drop by and give him some hints on how he can do better next time. Let's read a little bit from David from the blog post. Sure, there are reasons for that. Growing practices so that we can feed the population with huge amounts of food. For example, I learned that produce for mass markets is often harvested before it is fully ripe to withstand transportation and storage, for example. Refrigeration, humidity control, long periods of storage, and so on. That's all of these things can affect the flavor, and that's what you taste and smell. Never thought about that when I was still your common city boy, but now I know, and I appreciate what I harvest with my own hands even more. Kate can be found down at the animal dealer. Katie graduated college with an ag science degree and then traveled the world, picking up jobs at farms along the way, learning all about how to care for animals from the US, Europe, to Asia, and back. She will be critical for farmers looking to learn about keeping sheep, goats, pigs, chicken, horses, cows, and water buffalo. I'm a lumberjack and I'm okay. I sleep all night and I work all day. Oh, sorry. I didn't see you there. Noah is a local forestry expert and can be found up at the sawmill. I don't think Noah has much of a sense of humor, so he likely wouldn't appreciate the Monty Python skit. What he does appreciate, though, is nature and the well-being of the forest. So Noah will be able to give you all sorts of information related to working in the forest. It's best, though, not to litter in the forest, else you might just wake up one morning and find Noah at your doorstep looking for an explanation. Creepy. So what do you think of Walter, Ben, David, Katie, and Noah? Just 3 weeks away at this point from the release of Farming Simulator 25 on PlayStation 5, Xbox Series X and S, as well as PC and Mac. I recently had the opportunity to play a limited build of FS25, and while it did date back to around early September, it was impressive from a visual standpoint. But more on that later this week. Really quick, the obligatory message about using my affiliate links in the description. If you want to pick up Farming Simulator 25 on PC, then there's a Giants eShop link. Or, if you're a collector of physical media, Amazon has you covered with the DVD version of FS25 or the Collector's Edition. Both physical copies of the game will include a digital code to download it from the Giants eShop. Console players can also purchase physical discs from the same Amazon link as the Collector's Edition. Just be sure to toggle over to the platform of choice. Please also like this video if you enjoyed my spin on the Giants blog post. I try to keep it light and yet informative. And of course, our goal of 50,000 subs by the launch day. There are 3 weeks left and just over 500 subs away. If you're not a subscriber, it would really be kind if you could click that button, especially if you've come here more than once to hear about FS25 news. There will be more news in the coming weeks, and leading up to launch, lots of information and gameplay. Until next time, happy farming.